What's up guys, it's Light Spiral here, and today I'm bringing you a video on how to make a Giants B10 speed or YOLO team, whatever you want to call it. Basically a team that will finish in around a minute and doesn't have any healers. So um, the first thing I want to say is for this guide, I'm going to be making this a guide with Galleon. I've seen a few people who can pull off a speed team without Galleon, but I cannot, so I can't give advice on something I can't do, you know? So this is a Galleon guide, if I guess you could call it that. So if you don't have Galleon, I don't know how to help you really. I don't know how to help you make a YOLO team, that is. I could help you make another team, but not a YOLO team. So the reason Galleon is super important is because he'll provide the attack buff and the defense break, which are two things you really do need to make a speed team. And then along with that, AoE defense break is really nice if you're not using Lucians. If you're using Lucians, you don't really need the AoE part of the defense break. You really just need the single target defense break. But he does it AoE anyways, so that's nice. So then the second thing that you need, right here is where it kind of like branches off, depending on your runes. If you have very good damage runes, then you don't need to use Hwa. But with my current runes and how good or how maybe like not good enough they are, I need Hwa to make a Giants B10 YOLO team successful. And the reason for that is basically in these Giants and these YOLO teams, your monsters are all going to be so squishy that if anything the boss hits, it'll kill. So any counterattacks it gets, it's going to kill them. And if it gets a full turn, it's going to wipe your team. So you need to kill the boss before he gets a real turn off. So the only two ways to do that is to A, decrease his attack gauge, or B, kill him before he gets a turn. So at least with my current runes, I need a Hwa to do this. So these are two non-farmable nat 4s that if you don't have, I would say you're just fresh out of luck. Hwa, you don't need if you have really good runes, like I said, but I don't have good enough runes. I don't have good enough runes to run a team without Hwa consistently. I can do it without Hwa, but it's just way lower success rate, so I don't bother with it. Now, the next option would this I think the first way you'll bridge into a speed team would be to put in a Bernard, because Bernard will give you the speed buff, which will give you more turns, which will let you kill the boss quicker. I personally never used a Bernard in my speed team. I just went straight from a 2 damage dealer team to a 4 damage dealer team. But if you use these 3 monsters right here, Galleon, Hwa, Bernard, those will help you a lot in terms of the support. So we'll just assume Galleon's in there. But so if your next 2 picks are Hwa and Bernard, that'll help a lot if your damage dealers aren't that strong, because these 2 will give you more turns and make sure the boss doesn't get his turn off that quick. As well as if Bernard does land the attack debuff, you might have a chance to be able to tank out 1 counterattack before the boss gets his attack buff up. I think, yeah, it could happen depending on how tanky your guys are. I don't remember exactly how much the boss hits for with attack debuff, and like if he has attack debuff and you have no debuffs and he has no buffs. So but I'm pretty sure you can tank it out like at least 1 hit. I think he hits like 12k or something maybe. Don't quote me on that. And then let's just say you're gonna run with like these 3. The next options here would be your 2 best damage dealers, but I recommend at least one of them be AoE so you can clear the trash waves quicker. And then you need at least 1 single target damage for the boss stage. You don't want to go 2 single targets, and you don't want to go 2 AoEs. Of course, if they can do AoE and single target, that's awesome. Like, an example of this would be Sig. Um, I consider him more of a single target damage because he does AoE damage, and but the AoE damage that he does doesn't do very good on the first 4 waves, but it will do really good single target damage to the boss. So Sig I consider more of the single target, like whatever single target type damage, because he doesn't really the AoE he has can't clear a floor in one hit. So well, at least mine can't. But so Sig is always an option for stuff like this. I'll just give you a couple examples. Lucian is the most popular AoE option because you don't even need a defense break. You just need to get the attack buff, and then he can one-shot a stage pretty easily. A lot of people have Lucians that can one-shot a stage without an attack buff. I don't think mine can do that, but it might be close. But so Lucian is a really good example of the AoE. Other AoEs that would be like Amir. If you have stuff like Lagmaron or Tayor, those are super good because they provide a good AoE and a good single target damage with their Squall. So the Tayor and Lagmaron are super good. Other good monsters that people might have. I don't think Shimate is amazing in this. Argon can be okay for single target damage. I don't know. It's not really that. It doesn't matter that much which monster you use, as long as you use one AoE and one single target, and they have to do pretty solid damage. As well as it's preferred that they don't do multi-hits. So something like a Lich is not really preferred because if you do multi-hits, the boss is going to get more counterattacks. And like I said a minute ago, anything that the boss touches is going to get one-shotted. In this case, Bernard might have a chance to survive actually because he's tanky and wind element, so the boss might glance. But stuff like Liches aren't preferred. I've used Susanoo in a team before, and it worked fine. I've made a video with a copper team, and it was okay. Like it doesn't matter too much what you do. So with that, if you're not going to use Bernard, let's say, then you can mix it up. You still need one single target and one AoE, but then the third damage dealer could be whatever you want it to be, single target or AoE. I would say it's better to make another AoE because the trash waves is what will really slow you up. So like a super common one that I run would be like double Lucian, and then your third spot could be something like Tark, it could be Theo, it could be Sig, whatever single target you have. So a team like this, I think I've actually even made a video on this exact team right here, and it works pretty dang well. You've got two AoEs, your single target damage, Hwa and Galleon. So this team's nice, but you could also do it with two single targets and one AoE if you wanted to do something like this. If you don't have double Lucians or something, or if you wanted to do an Amir in this spot, it would work. And one thing, this is all depending on your runes. Like obviously, if you have like a Lucian with 100 crit damage and 2,000 attack, I don't know that's going to be good enough. As well as if you don't use a Bernard, like I said earlier, to not use a Bernard, you need to have your team do A lot of damage, and B, they need to be pretty fast because you need to kill the boss before he gets a turn. So if your team's all sitting on the 100 speed, you will have to do a ton of damage to kill the boss before he gets a turn, even with Hwa, because the speed debuff is not reliable on Hwa because she's fire, so she's going to glance 50% of the time. And then for me, I don't have my Hwa skilled up, so this is still only a 50% chance. So I only have a 1 in 4 chance to actually even attempt to land the speed debuff, and then there's the accuracy that comes into play after that. So I have 85% of a 25% chance to land a speed debuff on the boss, so it doesn't happen a lot of the time. So you need to kill the boss pretty quick. And like I said, if you try and use whatever a team like this and it doesn't work, it just means your runes aren't there yet, and just keep grinding out, and you'll eventually get runes one day. But so the other route would be if you're not using a Hwa. The way you do this is you'd preferably want 2 AoEs and 2 single targets. Of course, you could still just do the 1 AoE and 3 single targets, but I find it best to use 2 AoEs, 2 single targets, so you can clear the trash waves fast and the boss wave fast. So an example of this could be a team like this. You could take out one of these Lucians in favor for an Amir. This team has 3 farmable nat 5, so like this team right here, with good enough runes will work. Like I said, for me, I have trouble making teams without Hwa, but I've got 2 AoEs and 2 single targets. So this would work if you had the runes to make it work, which I don't have personally. And then I don't have the runes to make it work consistently. And then like whatever, you could substitute anything in for anyone. Whatever, Susanoo could work as your single target. Like I said, I've made videos on Copper as single target, but I don't think he's your best option. But so that's kind of the layout for it. I'll just do a run with a random team. I don't know. I'll try to use not as popular ones. Like I said, I kind of need Hwa. My Susanoo, does it have runes on it? Okay, so I'll try it with this Susanoo, even though you saw those runes and they're really bad. So I hope that that's going to work. But so this, I've got my single target from Susanoo. It's not good single target really, but it is single target. And then I've got my Lucian, my Hwa, Galleon. So the last spot, I can do another AoE or single target. So basically from here, I would either want to choose Sig or Lucian probably. And I'll do Sig just to make it more farmable or something. Yeah, so this team right here, Lucian, Hwa, Galleon aren't farmable, but like I said, if you don't have Galleon, then I'm sorry, I don't really know. I don't know how to help you make a 1 minute team. It's just I don't know how to. So another thing I want to mention about speed teams I forgot about that I remembered when I started this run was there is a little bit of speed syncing that could be done to make the runs faster. For example, you want Galleon your fastest so he can first turn do the time to loot. That's a speed sync thing that you definitely want. And then second, you want your however many AoEs you have, you want them to go next after Galleon. So if you're running this team, your preferred speed sync would be something like Galleon, Lucian, Sig, Susanoo, Hwa. You pretty much always would prefer Hwa to go last, just because she doesn't really do a lot other than this attack bar decrease. So you want to just get your damage out there as soon as possible, because you can rune Hwa for damage like I've done, but she's still going to glance 50% of the time. So that makes it so she really only does half the damage. So I don't think it's best to rune Hwa super fast for these. But so this boss is dead right here. I don't have a nuke Galleon anymore, but if you do have a damaged Galleon, it's actually a lot better. So that's 1:15, not under a minute, but it's, it's still fast. And so like I said, you could do a bunch of variations of this. Let me just try something else. Let me try it with like double Ifrits. And where's my Amir? He's back here. We'll see if this one works. Let me check my runes on this guy. I imagine that's gonna work. We'll see if it works with these current runes. But it probably will. And so, yeah, that's basically your order of turns. You want it to be your Galleon, then your AoE damage, then your single target, and then your Hwa. It doesn't matter that much if your Hwa's last, but it is preferred to make it last just because you need to get your damage out as quick as possible. Especially in the first waves, you hopefully aren't going to spend too much time on the first waves, and Hwa is for the most part just going to slow down the first waves because you only really need Hwa for the boss stage. So that I have a shield rune set somewhere along, but that reminded me that if you're going into your first speed team, a shield set can be super helpful because on the boss stage it's not going to help because you're still going to get one shotted. But on this mini boss right here, Hwa, if you don't have a tanky enough Hwa or if you don't kill them fast enough, Hwa has a really high chance to take some damage, and shield sets can really help a ton doing this. I used to run like 3 shield sets on my Giants team because otherwise my Hwa would die. So that's something that you guys should keep in mind. So I got the attack buff now, and so I took 1 hit from the boss with my Galleon, but I have defense slot 4 on my Galleon, and the boss didn't have any, like the right and left crystal hadn't moved yet, so you can't really rely on that. So here, this team's gonna work. Theo can survive 1 hit because of his passive, so this team was a minute and a half. I didn't see exactly what happened, but if I had to guess, something happened where I won a stage with that defense break because Galleon probably time diluted when there's like 1 monster left on the previous stage. But either way, you saw that this team worked. I haven't shown you examples of a lot of or I haven't shown you like proof runs of a lot of these teams, but hopefully you guys can believe me that it's basically just this like if you want to call it like a formula. That's how you beat Giants B10, and of course this formula only works if you have the runes to make it work. You're not gonna make it work with like 4-star runes or 5-star runes or something. You do need good runes. But that's really all I have for this video, guys. I hope that this was helpful and I didn't forget anything. But yeah, that's really all I have for this video. So if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, just tell me in the comments and I'll probably answer them pretty soon. As well as if there's any other videos you want to see, also just leave that in the comments and I'll probably make it. But that's all I have for today though, guys. So may the best of your todays be the worst of your tomorrows.